You're listening to The Blatino Nerd. Uncut, uncensored, unfiltered. Get dirty and keep it nerdy.
Hello again, members of the Nerd Herd, and thank you for tuning in to The Blatino Nerd. I've made it to episode 11. I've made it past the 10 mark, and I have no one to thank but you guys who listen at home, at work, in your car, on the couch, wherever you listen to it. Thank you. And yeah, man, we made it. So in today's episode, I'm going to discuss the awesome event that took place over the weekend. I'm talking, of course, about the DC Fandome event. Those of you who know me and those of you who don't, I have a love of all things DC. I mean, from the Green Lantern and Flash tattoos down to like the pajamas and even some of my real life mannerisms I've adopted from some of my favorite DC heroes. So needless to say, even though I was already on vacation at the time of the event, DC Fandome was like double vacation for me. It was like Christmas. So on today's episode, I'm going to discuss a little bit about what the event was for those of you listening who may have missed it or may not know what it was about, to some of the things that were revealed and my impressions, thoughts, and hopes for all things DC in the future. But before I get into that, I'd like to raise a little dilemma to my listeners. So you start your car and the maintenance light comes on. Your schedule is already busy and you have that report due tomorrow. Or maybe you just want to relax and enjoy the day off without having to go anywhere. Wouldn't it be nice if someone just came to you to service your car? Well, now you can finish those priorities or binge watch The Umbrella Academy and have your car serviced all in the same day when you use Midnight Speed and Sound, a mobile repair service that comes to your home or work. They perform everything from oil changes to full engine replacements on lawnmowers, tractor trailers, equipment, boats, RVs, electric vehicles, and everything in between. They serve New Jersey and the bordering counties of New York and Pennsylvania and come highly recommended from all over based on Facebook and Google reviews. Sound interesting? Sound good? Sounds like something you want to take part in? Well, I've got good news. The Nerd is here to hook you up. My listeners can save up to 20% on their next appointment when they visit msas.tech and mention the Blatino Nerd in the appointment notes. That link will be down in the episode description. But again, that's msas.tech, Midnight Speed and Sound. So yes, this past Saturday was an event for the ages. I know with everything going on with COVID, San Diego Comic-Con was something that, much like myself, you guys all look forward to every year. And then COVID, as it has done all of 2020, stepped in and was like, nah, bruv, no cons for you. So DC had us covered. They were like, all right, we're going to roll our sleeves up. We're going to give you an all-access 24-hour continuous con where we will announce all things amazing. And then we got DC Fandome, which, as I mentioned, 24-hour continuous event, and it was free. So all you had to do was log in. You didn't need any badges. You didn't need to pay for anything. You didn't need to sign in. You just had to log in and enjoy all the things that they had to offer. They announced everything from games to movies to what's going on in the Arrowverse. I know a lot of you out there, whether you were familiar with the heroes before the Arrowverse started or if you just got into them, I know a lot of people out there will be excited for what they have planned. I, unfortunately, am a bit behind, but I do plan to catch up. Unfortunately, I've missed an entire season of Legends of Tomorrow. I'm behind on The Flash, but I am catching up on Supergirl, so I will get there. And please believe I will watch every single episode of Batwoman. And yeah, just we got a little bit of everything. We got our first look at Rocksteady Games' new Batman-related project. Rocksteady, as you know, are the developers behind the awesome, legendary Batman Arkham series, which I say are two and a half of the best games ever made. I say 2.5 because as much as I wanted to love Arkham Knight, and I still think it's a great game, the over-reliance of the Batmobile was kind of a deal breaker for me. I just couldn't do it. I was so excited to finally be able to be behind the wheel of probably the most iconic vehicle in all of comic book history, only to learn that it's about 70% of the game. I know for some of you, it wasn't a big deal. For others, it was a take it or leave it kind of situation. And then there were some of you who were like, nope, the game was great all around. The plot was amazing. The DLC was phenomenal, but the constant use, well, almost constant use of the Batmobile, that was heartbreaker for me, fam. Couldn't do it. So I say 2.5. Because Arkham City is not only probably the best licensed video game ever made, but has set the bar for superhero titles since. I mean, every superhero game that has followed Arkham City, they've ranged from mediocre to Spider-Man, which, if you guys follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you guys know I've gushed about how great of a game Marvel Spider-Man is for PS4. And if you still have not played it, it is $20 now. You have no excuse. What are you waiting for? If you still don't have a PS4, I say either wait till the PS5 comes out, go get a PS4, go play Spider-Man. It's about that time. And yeah, I mean, even the soundtrack, which, if you guys, I don't know if it's still available on streaming services, but I had the soundtrack for a while, which had Panic at the Disco, Coheed and Cambria, and they all made original songs. And just everything about the Arkham series is great. I even enjoyed Arkham Origins, which I know there's the argument that it's just okay. I don't think it's just okay. I just think it has a bad rap because it has to stand alongside of the other 3 Arkham games. But anyway, I'm going off the rails here. So we got our first glimpse of Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League, which is the next Rocksteady project. And we got a nice little trailer and a glimpse of what to expect. It is a game that can be played solo or with 4-person co-op. And you each play as a member of the Suicide Squad. And as the title would suggest, your job, take out the Justice League. And it looks to have all the Rocksteady bells and whistles and a nice twist on an already familiar cast of characters. And I'm excited for it. It's just the fact that it's at least 2 years away. And I was like, oh, why would you do this to me? As I'm sure a lot of you were. But I got no problem waiting for a good game as long as it's good. I've seen my fair share of delays. Those of you who were waiting for Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess know what I'm talking about. Game delays can go one or two ways. They can be Cyberpunk 2077. I'm already calling it. It's a good game. It's CD Projekt Red. It's going to be a good game. Or it can fall into the spectrum of Duke Nukem Forever. We know how game delays can go. But I don't think this is a delay. This is just, hey, we're working on this. It's a while out. but this is what we're doing. Boom. We also got the trailer for Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League, which I know is been wildly rumored for years, and turns out the rumors were true. There was an original cut of Justice League that Zack Snyder, I guess, kept close to the vest before Warner Brothers stepped in, and I don't think I need to tell you guys how the Justice League movie went. I'm sure you've all seen it. And this one, I believe he spent another $50 million to restore all of the scenes and have them restored to what they were before Joss Whedon took over. And while I'm normally a Joss Whedon fan, I think this was one movie where I had to just shake my head and I'm like, come on, Joss, you've done better. Like, you did the first two Avengers movies. Okay, well, yeah, Age of Ultron isn't all that great either. But, you still have Cabin in the Woods and the first Avengers movie. Like, you know better. So this, this Snyder cut, to my understanding, is going to be a mini-series before finally being released as one giant 4-hour film. And I have mixed feelings about it, because while I feel like the movie is finally getting the cut I think we deserve, I've always been really 50-50 when it comes to Zack Snyder as a whole. Not as a person, just as a director. I have sung the praises of Watchmen. I know some people feel how they feel about the movie. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people just think it's meh. I think Watchmen was great. It was a great first attempt. There are some things I can pick apart, which honestly would take a whole episode of its own, so I'm not going to. 300, which is a great film for what it is. For all you ladies out there, if you've never seen it, it's Gerard Butler walking around in underwear for 2 hours. If that doesn't get you to watch it, I don't know what will, because I feel like if I explain the plot, you're just going to be like, whatever. So, it's Gerard Butler walking around for 2 hours in underwear, killing shit with a shield and a sword. Mostly with the shield. He does some shit with the shield I didn't even think was possible. Unless you're Captain America. But, and then, on the other side of the fence, there's Sucker Punch, which I think is easily one of the worst films ever. I know some people will probably hear that, and there's just that collective, sorry, not sorry. I think Sucker Punch is trash. That's another movie or another form of media where the soundtrack is great, but the movie overall I could do without. I do love his Dawn of the Dead remake, and this dates back to last week's episode with Maria Lark when I discussed my adoration of Jake Weber. I'm going to say the Dawn of the Dead remake is about where that started. So Dawn of the Dead is good. 300's great. Watchmen's great. I will never, however, forgive Zack Snyder for Legend of the Guardians. I can't do it. I love the Owls of Gahul. It's one of my favorite book series ever. And Zack Snyder was just like, I don't know if that was his idea or whose idea it was, but that movie wasn't it. Wasn't it, fam? Man of Steel has grown on me. Man of Steel has grown on me as a movie. At first, I was like, this is trying way too much to be the Dark Knight trilogy. And I realized I really don't think that's what Zack Snyder was going for. I think he just wanted to make a story-driven Superman film, which Christopher Reeve's movies are great for what they are, and they do have going for them that they're not Superman Returns. Sorry, Brandon Routh. But I think Zack just wanted a more story-driven Superman movie, and while initially my feelings on it were kind of negative, I appreciate it for what it is now. And I've always been a very firm defender of the director's cut of Dawn of Justice, Batman vs. Superman. It is 35 minutes longer and R rated, but it is a much better film. It explains all the random plot holes, and I feel like if you're going to watch Batman vs. Superman, watch the director's cut. It's still not great, but it's better. That's my stance on that. And so my feelings towards Zack Snyder's filmography are giving me reservations about Justice League. But considering the upswing that DC live action films have been on, yes, they are on an upswing. I'm so sick of you trolls on Facebook. Marvel has better live action films. We know. We get it. But I can find at least 10 DC animateds that shit on your beloved Marvel live actions. Again, that's a different episode. DC films are on an upswing. It's time to admit it. Stop it. Watch Shazam. Watch Wonder Woman. Watch Aquaman. Have a Coke and a smile and shut the fuck up. Alright, now that I've gotten that off my chest. Speaking of Wonder Woman, we got a new trailer for Wonder Woman 84. Which, if you guys know me, you guys know that my hype level for Wonder Woman 84 is through the roof. I sing the praises of Wonder Woman, not just the movie, but the hero herself. Wonder Woman is actually in my top 5 of DC heroes. Yes, I do have a top 5. No, I'm not going to get into it now. I might. Okay, fine. Here we go. Flash, Lantern, Woman, Booster Gold. Yes, Booster Gold. And Nightwing. Yes, Nightwing is in my top 5 of DC heroes. Yep. So that's Flash, Lantern, Wonder Woman, Booster Gold, Nightwing. There you go. So, I loved Wonder Woman. I think it is in like the top superhero films ever made. And again, you're going to listen, it's not Marvel. Warner Brothers doesn't have $3 billion in their fucking shoe like Disney does. They have to make do. Wonder Woman was great. Patty Jenkins was the perfect woman for the job. And while much like you guys, I had my reservations about Gal Gadot, but not the same reservations everyone else had. Here's looking at you, all the, her boobs aren't big enough. Guys, come on. Grow up. But Gal Gadot served in the military, is a legitimate martial artist, and a trained fucking sniper. She was born to do this. She's about as close to Wonder Woman as we'll get. Say what you want about the accent. Whatever. Gal Gadot has nailed it. I now no longer want anyone else to be Wonder Woman as long as I'm black and breathing. So, yeah. Gal Gadot nailed it. Patty Jenkins nailed it. Wonder Woman was a great film. My hype level for Wonder Woman 84 was through the roof. Well, is through the roof. And this trailer gave us our first look at Kristen Wiig as Cheetah, which I have to tell you is a casting choice that intrigued me, because how I feel about Kristen Wiig is that I do enjoy a good amount of her movies, but I feel that Kristen Wiig is kind of one note to me, which is not a bad thing, because, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It has worked in most of her movies, like Bridesmaids. I think Bridesmaids is one of the funniest films of all time. She killed it as Maggie Mayhem in Whip It. The Ghostbusters remake is good. But my problem with films like Bridesmaids and Ghostbusters and even Where'd You Go, Bernadette, she always seems to play like the same kind of character. It's always that woman who nothing seems to be going right for her, and then she meets these other people, and they kind of bring out that side of her, which again, it's not broke. Don't fix it. It's working for her, but it's nice to see Kristen Wiig in a role outside of that, let alone a villain. And I know I've read some criticism. Some people think the movie looks trash. You're entitled to your opinion, but I think Kristen Wiig, dare I say, I think she's gonna kill it. I think she fits. But we'll see come October when the movie finally hits theaters, if theaters are open by then. I mean, it's almost September. I guess we're bound to find out, what the fate of the movie theater is. You got Wonder Woman and Tenet still set to come out, so who knows? Let's see, what else do we? Oh, we also got our first look at the Suicide Squad, which is a sequel of sorts to the Suicide Squad movie we got. It's more of like a standalone sequel, so I'm assuming that there's no real connection to the other Suicide Squad movie aside from the returning characters like Waller, Harley, Captain Boomerang, which I am so glad Jai Courtney is back, because I thought Jai Courtney killed it as Captain Boomerang. The movie itself, fine, whatever. It exists. I'll give it that. Much like everybody else, I will say what I have to say about that movie, but it doesn't matter because the movie still made $400 million, so whatever. And we got our first look at all the heroes, including Idris Elba, who's playing Bloodsport, and is replacing Will Smith's Deadshot, which mixed feelings for me because I actually enjoyed Will Smith as Deadshot, but it was one of those things, good casting choice for a not so good movie, but Idris Elba, everything he touches turns to gold, in my opinion. So I have no worries about his performance as Bloodsport. Joining the cast is John Cena as Peacemaker, which I had this debate with a friend of mine online. I think is a perfect casting choice for Peacemaker. I really wouldn't want to see anybody else in that role. I think it's a good fit. People are going to have their critics. I know The Rock has become the standard for wrestlers turned actors, but John Cena has really come into his own, I think. Trainwreck was hilarious, which is tough to say because it's Amy Schumer and Judd Apatow, and I have feelings about them. But Trainwreck was great. Playing with Fire, I thought was a surprisingly enjoyable film. But he's definitely coming into his own as an actor, and I think he can finally escape the shadow of being another wrestler turned actor, and I think the Suicide Squad may be his chance. Well, we'll find out next summer when it drops. Pete Davidson joins the cast, which that was a shocker. And it's not a knock on Pete Davidson because I think Pete Davidson is hysterical. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on there. We have James Gunn directing, who, had that controversy last year with all of those pictures and tweets of him getting out, which caused him to briefly lose his job as director of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which turned out to be a blessing because we got him directing the Suicide Squad, and even he has admitted he's had more fun making the Suicide Squad than any other movie. So we'll see how that goes. Let's see, what else did we get? Another Batman game. This one being developed by Warner Montreal, the same guys who did the often debated Arkham Origins, which I think is a good game. but other people feel how they feel. This one being Gotham Knights, which allows you to play as the Bat family, sans Batman, who, according to the plot, has died. And another one, you get a choice of your various members of the Bat family. And again, standard Arkham gameplay. Looks fun. And as we get more, as time goes on, we'll get more info and we get closer to the release date. Now, there was an announcement that literally made me jump off of my bed and cheer. But before we get into that, I have a message to some of my listeners out there. If you're like me, you enjoy podcasts, whether listening or making one. And you may have thought to yourself, hey, I think that's something I might like to do. I got news for you. Today is a great day to start your own podcast. Whether you're looking for a new marketing channel, have a message you want to share with the world, or you just think it'd be fun to be like me, sit here in a chair and bullshit for 50 minutes. Podcasting is an easy, inexpensive, and fun way to expand your reach online. Buzzsprout is hands down the easiest and best way to launch, promote, and track your podcast. Your show can be online and listed in all the major podcast directories within minutes. It's not hard when you have the right partners, and the team at Buzzsprout is passionate about helping you succeed. I've been using Buzzsprout since the very first episode of my podcast, and it has done wonders. Every time I'm done recording, a few clicks, and I am up and running. All you really need is some gear that you already have and a quiet space. And they're great for starters. They're great for professionals. And they give you so many options if you want to upgrade. There's tons of guides to help you find the right equipment and at an affordable price. Buzzsprout also gets your show listed in every major podcast platform. So I use podcasts, but they help me get everywhere that you hear my wonderful voice. You'll get a great podcast website, audio players that you can drop onto other websites, and detailed analytics to see how people are listening to your podcast. And they help you promote it, and they give you all the tools you need. The team at Buzzsprout is passionate about helping you succeed. And so am I. If you click on the link in the description, that lets them know that the Blatino Nerd sent you. And you'll get a $20 Amazon gift card. How great is that? You're getting paid to shop on your favorite shopping site to start a podcast. How cool is that? Join over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout to get their message out to the world. Buzzsprout, let's create something great together. So about the announcement that your boy had to stand up and take in. Much like you guys, for years I have been clamoring for anything Static Shock related. And if you missed it, I will proudly announce to you that not only has DC rebooted Milestone Media, but with that announcement came not only a new Static Shock comic series, but a movie. That's right, we are getting one. Static Shock is officially back with the reopening of Milestone Media. And for those of you who don't know what Milestone Media is, Milestone Media was founded in 1993 by the late, great Dwayne McDuffie, along with Dennis Cowan and Michael Davis. They started Milestone because they believed that minorities were severely underrepresented in American comics, which is a topic that I also feel strongly about. And that's the whole point of Milestone Media, to get more black, to get more minority superheroes out to the masses. Of course, the peak of that is Static Shock. They also came up with, for they also created Icon, the Shadow Cabinet, which if you've never heard about the Shadow Cabinet, look into it. There is one of my favorite series. Very short, but Hardware, Why Son the White Wolf, which was a great miniseries, very, very underrated. But yes, Static Shock is officially back, and I am over the moon. I have always loved Static. The animated series was great, and that very small story arc that he had in the Justice League Unlimited series stands as one of my favorite moments the DC in the DC animated saga. I mean, anyone who watched the Once and Future thing, that is the name of that 3 episode arc. You know how it went with Static, and if you were like me, you weren't happy, but hey, the kid is back, and I couldn't be more happy. Like I said, DC Fandome was like Christmas for me, and I am just here right now, ecstatic. I know you guys probably don't hear it in my voice, but it's a combination of, it's a little late, I'm recording this, but I am so excited for the future of DC, not just in films, but in video games and comics. And the pinnacle, the one thing I think we were all waiting for, we finally got, and that is the trailer for The Batman, which will have Robert Pattinson play the Caped Crusader. He joins the ranks of Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, who, unpopular opinion, is my favorite Batman. But I digress. We finally got a trailer which gave us the first look at the movie, which is supposed to focus on Batman's earlier years. So this is supposed to be more of a detective film and less of a straight-up superhero film. Honestly, while I grow weary of Batman films, I get why Warner Brothers and DC continue to make them. Batman is probably the most easily recognizable superhero in history, and Batman movies continue to make bank. But this one looks really good, and I read some of the things that people had to say on social media when Robert Pattinson was first cast, and I have to say, and you heard it from me first, I never doubted. The second I heard Robert Pattinson was cast, I was like, you know what? He can do this. And I know what everybody's problem is. They keep sticking it, oh, I can't believe the guy from Twilight is going to be Batman. Well, I would like to point out that he was Cedric fucking Diggory first. There. Second of all, I think it's time we give that man his flowers. Robert Pattinson has earned it. 1, he had to deal with Kristen Stewart. I'm just throwing that out there. 2, Water for Elephants, Cosmopolis, Maps to the Stars, Queen of the Desert, Good Time, The Lighthouse, Waiting for the Barbarians, The King, The Rover, Bellamy, Love and Distrust, Remember Me. And I don't even like movies like that. But Robert Pattinson is just such a phenomenal actor, and he has such range. And I think it is unfair to just keep pinning him to the vampire movies. I would like to throw out there, I enjoy the books. I read the Twilight books. I despise the films. As a matter of fact, except for the final fight scene in Breaking Dawn 2, I deem those movies unwatchable. I can't do it. I cannot. And while I'm not a fan of hers, Kristen Stewart is the least of that movie's problems to me. I can't do it. Again, same with Sucker Punch. Great soundtrack. Especially, I think it's Breaking Dawn 1, which has that amazing Bruno Mars song, It Will Rain. Yeah. The first Twilight had Paramore, Linkin Park, Muse, which Supermassive Black Hole is just such a beautiful, sexy song. It's such a sexy song. Like, that's the only way I can describe it. But I digress. It's unfair to just keep pegging Robert Pattinson as Edward Cullen. I mean, granted, that's how he made his bread and butter. It's the same thing with Daniel Radcliffe and how he'll always be the guy who played Harry Potter. But, he was also Ig in Horns, which I think is a great movie. And don't get me started on the ridiculousness that was Guns Akimbo. But yeah, I think Robert Pattinson is going to kill it. He has the look. He has that scowl. We all saw the trailer. He had like that scowl. He nailed it. And while that one scene in the trailer has already become the subject of 90 million memes and GIFs, I call them GIFs because I refuse to call them GIFs because they're not graphics and I don't have a Jolden retriever, so it's a GIF. And yeah, I think that Matt Reeves is on to something, especially considering he's also working on a prequel series to that film. So I'm interested in seeing the Matt Batverse. I'm gonna work on that name. It's just what I can think of right now. The Matt Batverse. I'm interested in seeing where this is going. I think Robert is going to kill it, and I am so excited for the Batman movie. And I haven't been excited for a Batman movie in a very, very long time. But I think this is it. I think this is the one that people are going to talk about. I think this will be the one. But only time will tell. We'll see. And that pretty much wraps up everything about DC Fandome. I could go into further detail, but you're listening to me for a recap. I can't walk you through the whole thing. It was a 24-hour event, and I only have about 40 minutes to an hour of your time. I don't want to take any more. You guys have to go on with your lives. But before I go, I think I'm going to start something new where I'm going to end every episode with a review. It could be a review of a video game, a movie, an album, just something I think that you guys need to play, or you just want to know my opinion on. We'll see how this goes. If you guys like them, I'll do more. If not, well, then here, just, comment, hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all at Blatino Nerd, and let me know what you think. But my review is on Samurai Jack, Battle Through Time. That is the Samurai Jack game that just dropped a few days ago. And it is actually, it piqued my interest because Samurai Jack is one of the few shows that had a perfect ending. I thought the ending of Samurai Jack was exactly as it should have been. However, the developers of this game decided that they were going to get one more adventure out of the show, which worried me at first, and then I actually played it. And the very first thing I noticed is that they handled the task in front of them very, very well. It's not just a quick cash in, it is a very well thought out, well, just well designed game. First of all, it's beautiful. It evokes all the aesthetic of the television show, right down to the you know no line. That was one thing I always loved about the series: the characters not being drawn with those heavy outlines around them, which is good. You are also joined by some of the fan favorites from the show, like my dude, the Scotsman. He was always my favorite Jack ally. Sir Rothschild is back for this one. The Imakandi tribe, the Witch Hag. You'll even come across some of the more generic enemies from the series if you could recognize all of them. And the first thing that got me is that the second you boot up the game, you get the introduction. Like, the introduction from the show itself. And it is done by, of course, the great Mako, the original voice of Aku, who passed away before season 5 could finally be completed. But that is unmistakably his voice. That is his intro. And it just, you immediately are like taken in to Samurai Jack again. The 3D art style is beautiful. Every location is a recreation of Samurai Jack's world. And it is just such a marvel to look at. It nearly perfectly recreates the look of the cartoon. Like, it's almost like dead on. The combat system is good. If you were a fan of the old PS2 style beat 'em ups, namely Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks, is what that battle system reminds me of. Also, the first 2 God of War games. You'll enjoy it. You'll love it, honestly. It does get a little repetitive, as games of that ilk tend to do. But the game, honestly, if it were a remaster of a PS2 or a GameCube game, it would still be phenomenal. But the fact that this is an original game, which features the original cast of the series, sans Mako, who is no longer with us, honestly, there are no other hack and slashers out there as enjoyable. And this isn't just a good for a licensed game good. Like, it is really good. It's a nice chunk. Like, it's a nice chunk of time. I think it took me somewhere in the area of about 11 to 12 hours to beat it. It is linear. It's not open world, but the boss fights are fantastic. There's a score-based ranking system, which, aside from Streets of Rage 4, I can't think of many other games out there right now that are just score-based. If you were a fan, again, of classic beat-em-ups, even like PS2, Dreamcast, Super Nintendo, Genesis era beat-em-ups, this game is amazing. And honestly, I'm having so much fun with it, and I can't wait for my second playthrough. And I really think you guys should give this a try. It's currently on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and Apple Arcade. If you are one of the people who subscribe to Apple Arcade's $5 a month, and you're getting a great quality game. I'm going to give this one the nerd seal of approval. If a scoring-based system is more of your thing, I'm going to give it a solid 9 out of 10. Like, this is easily one of my favorite games of 2020. And that's all I got to say about that. All right, Nerd Herd, I thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Blatino Nerd. I will catch you on the next one, and as always, keep it nerdy.